The Supreme Court has reserved judgment in the appeal filed by David Obugada of the People's Democratic Party challenging the election of Nasarawa State Governor Abdullahi Sule. On Tuesday, the court presided over by Justice Kudirat Kekere Eku reserved the judgment to a date to be communicated to the parties after counsels to the appellate and respondent adopted their briefs of argument. The Apex Court also reserved judgment in the appeal filed by Major General Aminu Bade, the People's Democratic Party governorship candidate in Kebbi State, challenging the election of Nasir Idris of the All Progressive Congress as the governor of the state. With those two cases reserved, brings up to 3 cases that have been reserved by the Apex Court, with Delta State making it the 3rd. Also yesterday, Tuesday, human rights lawyer Enibehe Efong slammed some Nigerian governors who praised President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for not interfering in recent Supreme Court judgment while affirming their elections as governors. The Apex Court had on Friday delivered separate judgment on petitions challenging the victories of governors in 8 states of the country. The states are Lagos, Kano, Zamfara, Ebonyi, Plateau, Abia, Cross River, and also Bauchi states. After the court judgment, some of the governors praised President Tinubu for not interfering in the legal battles. Barrister Efong said the governors, by this praise of Mr. President, were indirectly saying that they do not have confidence in the Supreme Court to deliver judgment without interference. They also said Nigerians are also having the belief that the judiciary are not totally independent, and partially the judiciary seems to be influenced. While many others feel that that is not the case, Nigerians are all eager to see what the decision of the Apex Court will be for the remaining cases that the judgment will be delivered soon. Well, this and more as it concerns the Supreme Court judgment delivered and the place of the judiciary in the democratic process is what this edition of The Big Story is all about. We're talking about governorship elections and Apex Court judgment on them. That's what we're having as a major discourse today on The Big Story. We're looking at the recent Apex Court judgment and the awaiting ones as it concerns the governorship elections in the country. Well, anyway, that's what we're having as a major, but in the studio we do have also a major, and we're talking of no other person but a politician and also someone that holds such judicial decision and in high esteem, and I'm talking of no other person but Chief Pius Ovije. Good morning and welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning, viewers.
Now, sir, before we go into the controversy as it concerns some governors praising Mr. President for his non-interference in the judgments that were delivered on Friday, I want us to first visit the judgment of the Apex Court affirming the victory of 8 of these said governors. And I really would be keen to have your reaction as it concerns that judgment and where this judgment will put Nigerians' view of the judiciary at the moment.
Well, this as the last week judgment
Yes.
from the Supreme Court, they awakened the spirit and the trust of Nigerians.
Reawakened.
Yes,
Okay.
reawakened the trust on judiciary. That yes, judiciary can still be regarded as last hope of the common man.
Okay.
Because the tribunals down to the appeal court
Yes.
really killed the spirit of Nigerians about what has come of the judiciary. But thank God, last Friday judgment
Yes.
by the Supreme Court have really come to reawaken Nigerians. No. The judiciary is still there to interpret the laws the way they are.
So are you saying that Nigeria had this former view that issues that concerns not just the tribunal but the Court of Appeal, some of the judgments were done in error? And do you feel it's more like the judiciary correcting its earlier mistakes? That's what we saw on Friday.
No. You see, that's why we have the apex court.
Okay.
At the tribunal level,
Yes.
some of the decisions they took, even though if you are not a lawyer,
Okay.
you are not even a lawyer, you will know that these people, they are not being fair.
Okay. Okay.
Down to Supreme Court.
Okay.
Because what made a Supreme Court? They took the Supreme Court as the last court.
Of course.
And whatever decision the Supreme Court takes become a precedent.
Yes.
And when lawyers, they go to lower courts to argue their case before a judge, normally they will cite cases that have been decided by the Supreme Court. Yeah. And the lower court is bound
to
follow suit. Those are the things that make up the judiciary.
Okay.
But a situation where a lower court is giving decisions contrary to what Supreme Court have laid down as a precedent, then it becomes a problem. So many things were not being said about the judiciary. Corruption, whatever. They were being named. And that is why you see what happened in the case of the Plateau State.
I really want us to go there.
The Supreme Court,
yes,
Justice Iyang Okoro, went step deep to really lambast whatever those judges
had done in their appellate court.
Are you with me?
Yeah.
So because some of those things, they are glaring. Yeah. If the Supreme Court have ruled on certain issues, that these are pre-election matters,
and should not be.
They should not be entertained. There are some other cases they did before the presidential, between Obi and the Labour Party and the APC.
Yeah.
And they repeated the same thing. I said, no. You have no right to delve into whatever the party is doing as regards their nomination and everything. So Sally said, coming to say their names are not in their register. Are you in their party? It becomes a problem. So these are the issues that were not followed. And that is why the Supreme Court, people see it in this judgment that yes, they are still men of integrity
that could also
the apex court.
Okay, now let's still remain with that judgment that was delivered on Friday. But I want us to look at two cases that stood out for two major reasons. Now, the two major reasons they stood out is both of the governors were sacked by the Court of Appeal and also that of the tribunal. And funny enough, there were tensions generated before the judgment on Friday. And you just made mention of one, Plateau State. But I want us to particularly stick with the one of Kano State, because that was also a major. And my emphasis on Kano State was many felt that if the judgment had gone differently, God forbid, that state would have been on fire. That's what their feelings were. So let's look at it. Do you feel that that would have been the case? Looking at the tension that was generated just even immediately after the appeal court gave its verdict and a build-up to the Supreme Court verdict on Friday.
You see, one cannot really predict what will have happened
in Kano State.
Because injustice, when you say injustice, when it's so glaring, you may not actually know what the result will be.
Okay.
For instance, looking at Plateau now, those lawmakers that have been removed, for now, nobody knows what is going to happen.
But their issue ends at the appeal.
It has ended. What of the physical issue? What are the physical issues that will follow? That matter is not dead. Is there judicial view? When you look at it from the court angle, it's closed.
Because at the appeal court, that's the final decision.
It's closed. But what's going to be the reaction? With the people, when they will start sitting proper, when the governor have returned, come back to the state, will the people allow these other lawmakers to go to that House of Assembly? Given that even the speaker have already said he will not recognize them. Those sitting again.
So you foresee trouble?
Yes. So these are the things that we know. So that's what will have happened in Kano. Nobody really know what will have come up. Because there is a grievous, injustice that have been done. The Kano case is simple. They did their voting.
Yes.
The people voted for the governor. According to
the results and all.
Now, the tribunal now voted that there were some ballot papers that were not stamped and signed. So they should discard those ones. They subtracted them.
147.
About 100 and 160 something, about 165,000. Thereabout. Fine and good. They went to appeal. The appeal upheld it. Okay, let's move forward. What is the issue? You are not talking about overvoting.
Yes.
Your allegation is not about overvoting. Your allegation is not saying beaver was not used.
Yes.
Your allegation was not that the cards used were not serially numbered. Your allegation is that they were not stamped. Let me give you an example. If in Ogo, where you are now, there is a particular unit, say unit 1 in Ogo, materials were taken there, ballot papers and everything. Accreditation was done. Let's say 200 persons were accredited. And at the end of the day, 200 persons voted. They snapped the result sheets and forwarded to the IREV and submitted. Only to come back and say the cards used there were not signed by the presiding officer.
So on that note.
Number one, it could happen. Was there ink pad in those units? Were there ink pads? And why was there no use? So if there is no ink pad provided to the presiding officer, but these voters were accredited
and they voted,
will you disenfranchise them
from the process?
From the process, because you have no stamp. So long the ballot papers are serialized, so long the ballot papers are the direct papers from INEC to be used in that particular unit, you cannot cast them away because of no stamp by presiding officer.
And that's what the appeal court did. And
that's exactly what the Supreme Court did. They went back. Let's look at it into this thing properly. You can't. If they were complaining about no beaver coverage, there is no accreditation, the ballot paper are not there. They have no serial number. These were not the issues canvassed. The issue canvassed was that they have no stamp on the date. You cannot remove those votes. Those votes are legal.
Are valid.
Because the materials are from INEC. INEC didn't deny it. So that they were not stamped and signed. And secondly, they hang their argument on section 71. This section 71 that says must be stamped and not. They did not even refer to section 71 of the Electoral Act. They did not refer to the voting cards. They only refer to election results at the world level, state level, local government level, and state level, and national level. That is at their collation centers. That's after collating at the local government level there. They must be stamped. The result sheet, not voting. So the session they even hang their case on section 71 does not hold. So the Supreme Court was right. And you will see, and these are the things that many of the Kano people, they know that will have caused problem if Supreme Court has ruled.
You felt there would have been a breakdown of law?
Yes, I mean,
because differently from
that is injustice of the highest order.
Okay, now, if you feel that is the case, because there's this talk immediately after that very verdict was given. On Saturday, Sunday, and up to on Monday, the media was awash with a whole lot of reactions coming from that judgment, especially as it concerns Kano. And we had top politicians claiming that if it had gone differently, the state would have been on fire. So they said. And funny enough, they were even thanking Mr. President and every other person for not intervening, and also said it did not go the way of the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, knowing that he's paramount in what happens in his state. But let's look at it. With such utterances coming from notable Nigerians on account of that, do you feel the judiciary was unwicked or coerced into taking such decision? Do you feel they were scared of not taking a contrary decision? Because that's the notion being presented by these persons.
That have been, you see, there have been some practices, like from 99, especially, let's say, 2000 and 2003,
okay,
when PDP was holding sway.
Okay.
It was believed that going to court, the ruling government
will always have his way.
Will always have his way at the courts.
Yes.
That's why
the government in the center.
That's why they have the popular saying of go to court.
Okay.
Because they've witnessed such scenarios
in the past.
There were times in this country where even elections were still on, papers are still being counted, results are being announced. Of course, they go to court.
2007 was a climax of it.
That mentality is still in the head of many. And that's why you see, after this Supreme Court judgment, even the governors who were involved, nearly all of them, were giving kudos to
Mr.
President.
We'll definitely come
not
to that.
Intervening.
Yeah, we'll come to that.
You see, one thing is, yes, there's, to some extent, party people may have run to President, call these people to order, call this, now let us get through this thing. But at times, you know, some judges could come and say, this is our way.
And this is the decision taken.
And this is the decision.
So you feel that decision taken in the case of Kano was not because the judiciary was scared of the outcome if it had gone differently,
no.
But you feel they just had to do their job.
They just have to do their job. In fact, they decided to give justice, not judgment. They did justice to the matter. They looked into the facts of the case.
And presented before
and
them.
And the law.
As it implies.
And they interpreted it correctly. So they didn't go for these normal technicalities of bringing, you know, we are not lawyers.
Of course.
We are not lawyers, but
of course not.
The law they made affects us.
Of course.
So, to a very good extent, we must have an idea of the law. Because if you must obey law,
you must know.
You must understand what the law is saying. That's why we must, you know, all Nigerians should be acquitted with what the law says. The only thing we cannot do, we cannot wear wig. Neither go and start citing cases.
Okay.
But for we to obey the law, we must know. And that is the truth.
Okay, well, anyway, another good truth about it is we need to go on a break now. I'll plead with you to hold on. And when we come back, we'll continue our talk as it concerns some of the judgment given by the Supreme Court, especially as it concerns the governorship elections. We're still waiting more. And in every likelihood, we might be seeing most of them being given between now and the end of this month. And what way would these go? Well, anyway, let's go back. And when we come back, rather, we'll have more talk, especially as it concerns that. Let's go on a break.